going, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Torrent, a podcast giving you discussions on music, movies, TV, and video games. I'm your host, Nick, and coming at you from the post-apocalyptic wasteland, it's Alan and Matt. Guys, how's it going?
Hey, Nick. It's going pretty well. I've been watching this weird chess tournament today that's happening. I think it's in France or something like that.
Okay.
But it's got like the world champion in it, and there's a bunch of like really high-ranked GMs, and I've just been like really interested in watching chess recently, and I'm not very good at playing it, but it's pretty cool to watch. So
I really respect chess in the fact that it's like one of the oldest games that we have, and so much thought and strategy goes into it, and like we base like war generals would base their strategies based on chess strategies back in the day, and it's really cool. However, you don't hear too many people into chess lately.
Yeah, it's not like very attractive or like sexy to like the new age of people. So
I agree, it's slow and somewhat boring compared to like most games now. So I feel like it's probably not as popular for that reason. So
yeah, pretty much because people in general don't like war, and that game's, when it boils down to it, is about a battle. So I don't know. Speaking of battles and all that stuff, today's topic, we're talking about utopias and dystopias. Now, we're going to get into that in a little bit more, but first, I went to I was in Pittsburgh last weekend, guys. And
what were you doing there?
Yeah, I had to go to a wedding. And the wedding was cool and all that, but when we got there, we saw all these people on the bridge, and I guess Pittsburgh has what they call Picklesburg, which is a giant food festival for pickles.
Oh,
how do you guys feel?
I want to go. I love pickles, dude. That sounds incredible.
It was pretty cool. They had some really weird stuff that I was very leery to try. They had like pickle ice cream and pickle beer, but they had like pickles wrapped with a pretzel. They had and they had like other pickled stuff like kimchi. They also had, so I had like a kimchi grilled cheese, which sounded awesome. And yeah, have you guys even heard of this? Do you guys know that Pittsburgh even does something like this?
No, but I want to go so bad now.
I've never heard of this either, but I agree. I would definitely try pickle ice cream.
You can definitely get a giant pickle on a stick too, and they have like.
Will they deep fry it?
Yeah, they have pickled corn dogs.
Wow.
They look kind of gross, to be honest with you. I'm not a corn dog guy, but
that does look gross.
Get a foot long one of those.
Yeah, we went up to the elevator on our hotel. All right,
maybe
we
not.
went up to the elevator at our hotel, and there's this group of people, and they're like, "Are you guys here for Picklesburg too?" And we're like, "No, are you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, hell yeah, we're here." And they had like little pickle pins on their shirt and stuff. I was like, okay.
I would probably that'd be me. I would get really into it.
Yeah. So shout out to Pittsburgh on Picklesburg. It was a great time. Thank you for having me. Your city is wonderful, even though I still hate your sports teams.
Yeah, shout out to all the pickle lovers out there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You guys.
All right, we're gonna get into our usual news segment. This is a weekly download. For our first news story today, guys, I want to give a little concert review. A couple weeks back, we haven't been on the air for a while. A couple weeks back, I got a chance to go see Weezer in concert, and I just want to tell you guys a little bit about it. So I thought it was a fantastic show. I guess I didn't give Weezer a lot of credit because they have so many hits and singles out that are so good, and I guess I forgot how many songs of theirs I knew. I think I knew just about I think every song they played I knew. Like, they played just about everything, all the big hits, and I knew every song. And yes, for those asking or thinking, they did play Africa by Toto. They covered it, and it was awesome.
So what's the backstory there? Because I heard there was some kind of Twitter exchange that started off as a joke, and then it evolved into something that actually. Do you know the backstory?
I don't know, but I'm guessing probably they kept getting, because they just did another cover of another song, right? Weezer had just released a cover of some other 80s song, and then everyone's like, "You have to do Africa, you have to do Africa," and then they immediately like, "All right, we're gonna do Africa." Then they did Africa.
That's so cool.
I think it was.
That is cool. I didn't know that.
I think it was Susanna, maybe, or Rosanna, however you say it. It was another song by Toto, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
And they did that one, and everyone's like, "Where's Africa?" Because that song's huge for some. Do you guys get why Africa's huge now? Like all of a sudden, like just in the past year, everyone's like raving about the song. It's been out forever.
I've thought it's always been really popular.
I thought so too. Yeah.
I thought it's been basically the only song that people know by Toto.
Yeah.
Who I
Hold the
hear has
Line,
a very extensive catalog of songs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out.
But anyway, so they did some really cool stuff. First off, I should say the band who opened was the Wombats. They were pretty good. If you guys are familiar with the Wombats, I enjoyed their stuff. Then the Pixies came out. Are you guys Pixies fans by chance?
I like that song that's at the end of Fight Club.
Is that Losing My Mind or whatever?
Where is my mind?
Where is my mind?
Or
Yeah.
Where Is My Mind? Yeah.
I sound like such like a bandwagoner being like, oh yeah, that one song at the end of Fight Club's really good. But unfortunately,
You're so
is-
edgy.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, no one's ever heard of that before.
Yeah.
I like that song.
I gotta say, I know of that song. That song's okay. The rest of their discography for the Pixies, not a fan. I thought to myself, I gave country a really hard go, saying like, oh, I like everything but country. I think I like everything but the Pixies.
What?
Like
What?
it was, I don't know, like
Kind of punk-ish, like.
yeah, you think I'd love them. They
Right.
are punk. It was just, it's kind of like the they dip their toe a little bit into like the psycho or like psychobilly kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like just a little bit, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can handle that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about by that genre, psychobilly?
No, not really. But I feel like
Oh.
I don't know. I feel like I tangentially know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's hard to describe.
The combination of the words that is psychobilly makes
Yeah.
me think I would.
It's like
hate it.
psychedelic hillbilly.
That
like
sounds like
bluegrass
a
psychedelic.
goddamn nightmare. I don't want to listen to that.
But anyway, once Weezer got out there, I was fine. Like it was really good. They did a really cool mashup of that Happy Together song by the Turtles. Like you know what song I'm talking about? Like me and you and you.
Oh yeah.
So happy together. That one. They matched. Yeah. They matched that song up with the song Longview by Green Day, which is the one. Bite my lip and close my eyes. Take me away to paradise.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. That's a
Yeah,
neat
so
little
they did a
mashup.
really cool mashup on that. They played Africa by Toto. They did Take on Me by, is it Aha?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or Aha. And then and then they knew almost every song. I think it was a solid 2-hour roughly performance, and I was really happy with it. Yeah, it was awesome. So I would give that a 5 out of 5 bottles of mead for Weezer concert review.
Nice.
Very
That's
cool.
I love that. Like going back to your point that I forget. I remember hearing another band talk about it. I think it might have been Coldplay or something, but they were basically saying like we've been around for so long. We've released so many songs that we can put on a concert and not have to play any shitty songs. Like every song we play is going to be a hit or like a song that everyone knows, and it's going to be a good concert because we've just had so many songs come out and we can weed through the good ones. So
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome
know.
that, like, almost every song was just fun and like you knew it and stuff. So
Right. Weezer's been out since the early 90s. I think their first album was like 1994 or something like that. Like, guys, we were 4 years old when their first album came out, so they've been around quite a while.
Yeah,
Almost
that's
30
awesome.
years. Yeah. All right, next. Matt, you've talked about this game, Subnautica. I think, actually, Alan, both of you have mentioned it to me before, but the game's coming to PlayStation 4 very soon, if not already. What do you guys think about that? And are you excited? Are you going to pick it up for PlayStation? And they've hinted they might include a multiplayer feature on the game. So what do you guys think?
So I could have sworn they said multiplayer was going to be harder than people think. If they did multiplayer, 100% I would get it.
Mhm.
And also, if
Oh, yeah.
Alan dug in his... Okay, I'm glad you say that. But if you were gonna dig your heels in, I would probably just buy it for you. I don't know if.
Oh
if,
no, I would buy it
Okay.
absolutely if they were multiplayer.
And if it's more than 2-player, we're all playing it because
Yes.
it would be so much fun. It's such an interesting, just unique game. It's because basically the game takes place all underwater. You crash land on like a completely aquatic planet. It's so interesting. That's just so neat. Every single thing is like an alien. There's like cool ships, or I'm sorry, cool fish. I mean, there's like different types of ships that you can make and buy. It's like a survival type game. It's so fun. So if they have multiplayer, I will 100% buy it. One thing that I've seen that is even cooler is I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of like VR component that they're going to try and
Ooh.
make.
Okay.
That
Okay.
would be even more insane because
That actually sounds a little terrifying.
it does because I mean I've been playing it on a computer and Alan will watch me and I'll like stream it to him. And so we'll like kind of play it together and he'll like look up stuff and help me with that. So it's been really fun, but like there have been times where I've like audibly screamed because I'll just be swimming and then I'll like look down at the water
Like a
and
shark or something?
huge, not even a shark, Nick. It's just an alien planet. There's like humongous like alien serpent things like with like praying mantis claws and like
Jeez.
whale shark mouths like swimming up from the bottom, like terrifying stuff in that game. So I'll do some research on that, but I saw a VR component that looks really fun.
Yeah.
And if there's multiplayer, that is 100% going to be the next game we play because it's so interesting. So I recommend that to anyone. Do you agree, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the gameplay is really unique. It's really cool. I can't really think of a good survival game like that that's 3D. It reminds me of almost like Terraria or what was the other one that was sort of like Terraria that we were playing for a little bit? Starbound. But instead of being 2D, it's 3D, and you get like a little bit more of a full-on experience with it and stuff. So
Yeah, there's not like it's not like Minecraft. Like there's no terraforming or like digging stuff up. But I mean, you don't even need that. Like I never even once thought like, oh, this would be cool. Like you're just building ships and trying to stay alive and make food and make water, and you build like an underground like space, like not space station, like I don't know, water station kind of thing. It's basically like an international space station type thing underwater. It's so neat, and there's a story to it also, and very cool. So
yeah.
Like
Cool.
5 bottles of mead, 100%. 5
Really?
out of 5. I love that game.
I've seen some videos since you've recommended it to me, and it does look like a really cool game. So I am excited. I would be tempted to buy it on PlayStation 4 because you guys are hyping it up.
Yeah, I'm
much.
pretty sure. Yeah, I would buy it again for PlayStation 4, and if you guys, it would be the quickest decision ever.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, have you guys seen District 9 and the movie Elysium and the movie Chappie? You guys familiar with those movies?
I'm familiar with them. I don't think I've seen any of them.
I have seen Chappie, yeah.
Yeah, District 9 was a huge hit, I think. It was one of those indie movies that kind of surprised a lot of people. The director of those movies, Neil Blomkamp, he is set to direct a Robocop reboot. Now, while I think his visual style of the futuristic, very mechanical style, almost alien, kind of that blend of alien and mechanical style that he has is really good, I'm a little... I roll my eyes very hard at the thought of them making rebooting RoboCop for the third time. What do you guys think about this?
I kind of agree with you. I think it's a good fit for his style, but it's going to be kind of weird having another reboot of it. Maybe it'll be good because I feel like I haven't seen District 9, but I remember Chappie kind of lacked a little bit in story, and it might be good to have something that he can make to base it off of something else. So he's not trying to do like a whole story himself. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't have strong opinions on these kinds of things because I guess I don't watch movies enough to see. I'm not analytical enough to like see different people's takes on things and directions that a certain director or whatever would go in. So
very indifferent of you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I know. I almost didn't even want to weigh in. I was like, man, I don't really have enough background to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
But-
Like the original.
No comment next time or something.
The original
I'll just leave. I'm sorry. I'll see you guys later.
That was like the longest way to say nothing at all.
I know. That's fine.
No,
That's what he
That's how I say everything.
I mean, the original RoboCop was good for its time, but it kind of was more. I mean, it said some important things, but it was also kind of an action movie. They rebooted it as like a senseless action movie. Alan, we were saying it'd be kind of interesting to see what the art style and direction of this new RoboCop reboot is, but now it's the third reboot. Does anybody really care about the RoboCop franchise as a whole? I know there's some hardcore fans probably out there, but like other than that, like who really gives a hoot about RoboCop? Just make a new franchise, you know what I mean, with like that's an homage to RoboCop or something, and just go with that. We don't need to keep rebooting stuff. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't like all these reboots.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I'll probably go see it. I think it sounds kind of interesting. Screw you guys.
Oh man.
So while we were off for a little bit there, guys, it was San Diego Comic Con, and every year it's a big kind of reveal for a lot of the new comic book movies that are coming out. TV shows, movies, and we got a whole slew of new trailers, particularly in the DC realm. We got our first look at a Teen Titans live-action TV show called Titans. This show is going to be for DC's online streaming service that they're calling...
This gets worse and worse.
Yeah, DC.
All right, man, let him finish.
Yeah, it's for DC's streaming service that they're coming out with. Where I think they're toting. You can read all the comic books. You can watch all the DC movies, all the DC animated shows, and all the new shows that they're coming out with are all going to be available to you for a monthly price, of course. But we got our first look at the Titans trailer. I definitely have my thoughts. As a longtime Batman fan, I have a lot of thoughts on this trailer. But first, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of the trailer for Titans?
By the way, it's DC Universe is the streaming service.
Thank you. Yes, DC Universe.
I think this trailer, it looks like it's trying to be something different than what it should be. I don't understand what the target audience is with this, because Teen Titans is a child's animated show that was on Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But this is very, very serious, very, very adult. It's gory. There's action. It's not meant for kids to watch.
Right.
So I'm kind of struggling to see what the real audience here is, because I certainly don't think it looks good or interesting. Yeah, I don't know what DC's doing here, to be honest.
Yeah, Matt, how about you?
Okay, so while I was watching this trailer, I heard you guys talking about the trailer, and I at one point I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend I don't hear what they're saying and just like view this objectively.
Mm-hmm.
And objectively, I was just like, what is going on? Like, the dialogue is horrible. It's so cheesy.
Yes.
The actors and actresses are all young. And so they're young. They're fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're very bad. But it's fine.
You would need that kind of casting in a show like that with Teen Titans, right?
For sure. And so that's fine. But like, the actors, no offense to them, are bad. The dialogue is bad. The action looks bad.
Mm-hmm. CG looks bad.
CG looks bad. Like, even just like the cinematography and the way, I don't know, maybe they were like doing all these fancy cuts. Everything about it looks bad.
Yes.
And that's me coming at objectively. So.
And I just don't understand why they don't just do a funny take on, like a live action take on the TV show. Like, just stick with the theme. Don't do an Avatar: The Last Airbender and try and turn a children's comic into a really serious movie. You're gonna flop. Like,
I agree. And they came out really hard trying to set a tone. They had like the Robin guy being like, "Oh, it's Batman." And he's like, "Nah, fuck Batman." And then he like slices this dude's throat open. I'm like, Robin is, as a character, is completely different from Batman. Like, first off, he's not going to kill anybody, and two, he would never say fuck Batman. Like, that's just not his character.
Yeah.
It looks like a bad fan film. Like, it makes fan films look bad. I don't know.
I honestly think I'll watch it just for how bad it is. Like, it's one of those types of
hate
things.
Watch or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't get
know.
it. I mean, Teen Titans, like you said, Alan, it was on Cartoon Network. It was a very popular show. A lot of people really, really liked that cartoon. And now this is coming out, and like, people are gonna be, they're like, what? I don't know. I don't know how they can. I don't know how DC can misstep again on this type of material. Like, they're already lacking enough. Justice League was bad. Batman vs Superman was very controversial. Wonder Woman was decent at most.
No,
I
heard Wonder Woman was good.
It was good. It wasn't. It was good, but it's not going to carry. It's not carrying
tired.
4 films or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, but then we got a trailer for Aquaman and Shazam. Now, completely different story. What did you guys think about the Aquaman trailer?
So I will say it seemed very different, and Aquaman is a superhero that like has the potential to be lame because like he swims fast and he talks to
Talks to fish or whatever.
No,
yeah.
wait, yeah, not even animals, aquatic animals. Like, okay, that's kind of lame. But I really liked the trailer. They made him look as badass as possible.
Wait, what do you have against aquatic animals, Matt?
Well, like in a ton of the world, it's going to be like, oh, there's no aquatic animals around. I guess I'll just go back. See you guys.
Like 90% of the world is covered in
You're
water.
watching too
Right.
much Family Guy.
Okay, but 90% of the action in Marvel and superhero movies and life in general as us humans does not take place in water, Alan, right?
That is a very good point. I will stop talking.
So them introducing like underwater species and like weird like I don't know what they were
Yeah,
but like
sea creatures or whatever.
Yeah, essentially like alien life forms or just like weird underwater things, I think is exactly what they should do to make this series good. And like he's badass as hell, which is great. And there's just like all this interesting, weird, bizarre stuff going on underwater with all these like different types of animals and different species, and them riding like crocodiles and sharks and stuff. It's bizarre and crazy as hell, and I think that's what they need to do to make it good. And so I'm excited. I think it looks cool.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you. I'm still not sold as on Jason Momoa's character as Aquaman, but I think everything in this movie looks really fun. This has a lot of potential to be a good movie, and it looks like they're really doing a lot to build the world of Aquaman. Like you said, Matt, like we saw a shot of they were like in a throne room or like part of the castle, and it looked very medieval, but like underwater. But instead of horses and in chariots, they had like sharks with saddles on them and like armored up seahorses, like battle ready seahorses. It's like, what is going on? But everything, and then there's that one shot where it's like the wave and you see all like the sea creatures like in the water and they're like diving down or whatever. It looks insane in the best way possible.
It does.
Yeah.
There's like underwater ships and like animals and like lasers shooting everywhere. I'm like, what is happening?
Sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their freaking head.
I think it looks cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I would still wager that DC probably finds a way to make this like slightly above average at best of a movie.
The only thing
some kind of Wonder Woman.
The only thing I think they really can misstep on, unless the story is complete horseshit, would be the CG. I mean, I know there's so much going on in these. Like, they really need to nail the CG. And I think there's a potential for the CG to be kind of a little maybe lacking, but that might just be a time thing. You know what I mean? Like, maybe as they develop it in production, it'll get better and better. So,
let's talk about Shazam, though, because this really interested me.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, DC also premiered Shazam. Shazam being a long-standing DC superhero. So go right in for it, Alan. What did you think?
It looks very goofy, very like silly, but it looks also very, very unique. I really can't think of a movie like this where the main kind of superhero sort of just like the powers just kind of fall on him, and he just has to kind of figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example of something similar to this? Like I was thinking maybe like
not in the
Scott
superhero
Pilgrim,
space, but like there was the movie Big that came out with Tom Hanks. If you guys are familiar with that movie, it gave me a lot of Big vibes, and a lot of people have made that comparison, and rightly so. But where he like finds himself like in Big, Tom Hanks finds himself as an adult, and then he's got to live like an adult, and it's kind of the same thing, but in a superhero world. And Zach Levi, who plays the adult Shazam, is awesome. Like, I loved him back when he was on the show Chuck and everything, and it looks like they're really going for like more of a lighthearted comedic feel, and it's going to be right in universe with all the other DC movies. So I don't know, I got high hopes for this one. I think these could be 2 solid entries to the DC extended universe, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Looks neat.
All right, let's jump into some music picks here.
Yeah, I'll start us off. The one I picked is called Fractures by Illenium. It's just a really interesting sounding, kind of chill, well, slightly more chill techno kind of song. I still don't really know like what the song is about, but yeah, it's an interesting listen to, and definitely check it out. So
Cool. Nice. My pick, because I went to saw Weezer, I totally forgot about the song, and I forgot how awesome the song is and how much I love it. It's I Want You To by Weezer. Just a great song. I got really excited when it came out because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about the song. This song's great. Yeah, so I Want You To by Weezer.
All right, so I picked one that's I think is a pretty cool summer song, and it's fun to dance to. It's upbeat. It's called Shining. It's by DJ Khaled and Beyonce and Jay-Z, and it's like really upbeat, really fun. Yeah,
Nice.
pretty great. It's good. Definitely throw it on your summer mix. It's gonna keep
Oh,
your parties
cool.
popping. So
Yeah. Wait, did you say G-strings popping? Is that what you said?
I said parties popping, but
Oh,
it's gonna get a lot of things popping. So
Yeah.
let's be real
go
here.
back to the...
full throwback there.
G-strings.
Good, nice.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
As always, if you want to get in touch with us, you can find us at The Torrent Pod on Twitter and Facebook, and The Torrent Podcast at gmail.com. Also, you may have seen on Twitter and Facebook, we announced that our official merchandise store is now up. You can find us at tpublic.com/store/the-torrent-podcast. We have... Yes, I know. I'm trying to get the URL changed here, okay? Jesus Christ. We have... our basic podcast logo. We have the Wave logo, Hot Crochet, Mead Fest, Matt's Shot System, the BB Shot System shirt. We got a Stranger Things inspired shirt, and we're going to have way more on the way. But for now, this is what you got. Also, if you've been following us also on Twitter, we have started a Twitch stream. We're going to be playing some games. Matt and Alan were playing a little Stardew Valley earlier today. We're going to be playing Divinity Original Sin 2. We'll probably play a whole bunch of other games with either 1, 2, or all 3 of us. You can find that at twitch.tv/The Torrent Podcast. So be sure to follow us on our official Twitch stream as well.
Dude, I'm definitely just gonna stream by myself if you guys aren't around.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
You should.
some papers, please, or
You
something.
can watch all of Alan's chess matches. That'll be really
It'll be so
Really?
exciting.
hot streams.
Yes. Okay, so
What did we talk about today,
getting
Nick?
into the main topic today, we are talking utopias and dystopias. The reason why I bring it up is because that movie, The First Purge, came out, kind of gave me the idea to talk a little bit about utopias, dystopias. So let's get into, first off, let's do a little history lesson of what is a utopia, what is a dystopia, and all that surrounding it. So, Alan, can you give me a nice definition? You're pretty eloquent when you speak. Can you give me a nice definition of what a utopia and a dystopia is?
Sure. A utopia is an idealized version of either society or just life in general. So it's basically taking anything that gives you hardship or gives you difficulty in your life and finding ways to mitigate that and lessen that, and then bringing out the stuff that's kind of fun and interesting. So
Yeah.
it's really just creating that disconnect between anything that really brings suffering and going towards the things that really bring you joy in your life. So
Wow.
Dude, oh my, was that written down?
no, I just
Off the dome, man.
out the dome.
Wow, real great stuff there.
Wow. Very
And,
nice.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
and then were you asking dystopia or just utopia?
Yeah,
I
both.
forget.
Yep.
Okay. And then dystopia, you can imagine it's just the inverse
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of alluded to this, that a lot of times when you strive for a utopia, it ends up with a dystopia scenario, because it really is hard to have that kind of imbalance in the world.
Yeah.
Even just physics in itself always looks to have things strive to be balanced. So.
Right. So yeah, we see this a lot in literature, in a lot of stories we read in high school about kind of people who, or groups of people who want to create like the perfect society, and in doing so they're going to have to do something completely horrific or perverse in order to get there, to kind of achieve that. And then what happens is they end up making a dystopia, and then things go really to shit. And that happens kind of over and over again. And I think, this is something we struggle with as human beings is, as hard as we try, we we really can't get to a utopia, because the reality is you can't make everyone happy. It's not possible, and it's kind of one of the harder things to face in life. And
the idea of this to me is one of my like favorite ideas in literature. I think utopias and dystopias are interesting because they inherently represent certain things that people think would make a utopia.
Yeah.
Which obviously differs from what other people think is a dystopia, or a utopia.
Utopia, yeah, right.
So just the idea itself reflects like how impossible it would be to actually have one of these, because what would make a utopia differs between so many people. So I love hearing different things like this. I love different. I mean, I know we're going to talk about games and movies and stuff, but there's so many great books I think that are about utopias and dystopias in particular, and that's like one of my favorite genres to read. So
Right.
so I love the idea of this. I think it's very cool, and I just think it's always going to be something that's interesting and like relevant for people to read or experience, watch or play or something like that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Matt, there's a ton of amazing books and literature where this is really described. I remember reading some book. Did you guys remember the little short story, The Lottery? Like that we had to read that in high school. Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much like The Purge. Like there was a very ceremonial every year. They would gather in a square and they would draw numbers out of a hat or a box or something. And if your number was picked, you had to go up to like a pyre or a stage or something, and then people would stone you to death. You won the lottery. And that was their way of like keeping the population in check and making sure everyone had enough for, the resources would stay, at a level where everyone can enjoy them. And it was kind of like one of these utopia dystopia stories. And that one really kind of messed me up a little bit because it was so grim and so dark. And that was kind of one of my first lessons in this space. And, because we get all this, obviously, literature, we get a lot of movies that come out of these books. So let's talk about some of the more recent stories of utopia and dystopia stories that we've seen in movies as of late. You guys want to highlight a couple?
Yeah, so my number one favorite, I'll say, is Hunger Games, which I obviously originated from a book.
Okay.
But I just think the movie still is super relevant to talk about, just because that whole idea of just like there's just so many themes in that book, and just like I can't remember what it's called, maybe the Citadel or something like that, in the like whatever it is in the middle of all the districts in Hunger Games.
Yeah.
That's like living lavishly, and they're loving their lives, and they're all super extravagant and ridiculous, and then all these other districts are providing like necessary resources for them. So it's about like discrepancies between wealth perhaps, and like other themes of like having to give tributes and having to like forfeit people for entertainment of certain population. Hunger Games I just think is like a classic dystopia type book.
Yeah.
So that one's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, agreed. Hunger Games is really good. Did you read the books too, Matt, by chance?
Yeah, I did. I read those first, yeah.
The movie, I mean, they can only do so much in a
Right.
PG-13 movie, made for teens, but, the books itself were really, really good. And I thought, man, some of that stuff the content was just so dark and so grim.
It was, yeah.
Like so serious. I was very surprised for a young adult book to some of the where they took some of the stuff. It was crazy. Hunger Games, I know it's a popular like young adult movie, like I said, but underrated books. Very good stuff.
Right. I agree, yeah. And if I may add just one more quick one, my girlfriend's been watching that show on Hulu, The Handmaid's Tale. Have you guys seen that at all?
Yep. I think my girlfriend watches that as well.
Yeah, okay. I don't watch the show. I watched like one episode with her, but I did actually read the book in high school, and I actually reread it a few years ago before, like just kind of, I thought it was interesting. That's also a really interesting story, and like just the dystopian themes in that book are, and just like show and stuff in general are really good too. So I'm gonna give a shout out to The Handmaid's Tale.
Cool. One of my favorite utopia dystopia movies is The Matrix. Because it's something that's, it's kind of a little far-fetched right now, but, it kind of leads us to a place where it could be a reality in our world, as we press on to make society a better and better place for humans. We inadvertently built machines who have an AI, and then they create their own utopia, and they're using us as batteries and all that stuff. And, obviously the Matrix has, all the cool visual effects and all that stuff, but the story, at the heart of the story, it's very, very Utopia dystopia. There was a great war. They blotted out the sun to prevent the machines from getting like solar power and stuff like that, and it threw the world into chaos and all that stuff. So I think the Matrix is also really good, and when you dive kind of deep into some of that stuff with AI and what humans do and need to survive, it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how they toy with the idea of just complete ignorance of what the actual real world is.
Yes.
Is that really true utopia, where you really just have to be completely taken out of the real existing world and put into a more perfect world,
right?
And fully submerged in it for it to be like a true utopia.
Yeah.
It's really cool how they play with that.
That ignorance is bliss scene is really
Exactly.
Cool. How about you, Alan?
Kind of torn between two, but I think one of the ones that I really like, I don't think we had on the list, but it's iRobot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's a good one.
That's a really interesting one, too, because that, again, plays with the idea of, similar to the Matrix, artificial intelligence and how it plays a role in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it really is true that we can create an ideal world, or if it will always come back and end up biting us in the butt. So.
Yeah. I have an honorable mention on this list for movies. It's kind of an underrated piece. If you guys happen to catch it on Netflix, I think it's still on there. It's Snowpiercer. The premise of that is the world has gone into like pretty much a what do you call it? Like a new ice age because of weather conditions and stuff. So there's a constantly moving train that holds the entire world's population, and it just keeps circling the Earth. And the premise is each train car you're in is whatever class. So the richer people are up towards the front of the train, and the poor people are the more poor you are, the farther back in the train you are. And there's some really interesting twists as to where they get their food from, how they get their food, what the purpose of this train is. And there's some really interesting twists within this movie. And I think you guys should definitely check it out. It was pretty interesting.
That sounds incredible. That's a very interesting idea. Wow.
Yeah, I think it should still be on Netflix. I would definitely check it out. How about some games now? Because we got a ton of amazing games that have also come out that deal with the same content. Alan, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think is a very good game dealing with Utopias Dystopias?
This is probably... I feel bad kind of taking this from you guys, but hands down my favorite one. I remember when you first brought up this topic, it was like the first thing that popped in my head, and it was BioShock.
Yes.
Because BioShock tells just an amazing story of the utopia into dystopia motif, and that you have this world where you have this madman guy who created this stuff called Adam, and he just gives promises of just be a superhuman, be so much more than you can be. Live in this beautiful underwater world. It's separated from the real world. There's richness, there's fame, there's all this greatness, and then it just so rapidly just devolves. I think it really plays with the idea of addiction to power, and that they gave all this power to people and they became addicted to it, and then all of a sudden it created this huge thing where people wanted as much as they could get, and so they started doing horrible things to each other, and it just devolved the whole world into this craziness. And it really is interesting to kind of play through this game, because you start from the other side. You start from the dystopia, and you learn about this whole backstory going into it.
Right.
And so it's one of those kind of reversal movies where you see the end, and then you play to see what actually happened in the beginning, and it's really, really interesting. So
yeah. And I don't know if you've ever played BioShock Infinite, but that game is also very, very good and crazy. The twist in that game is incredible. But the whole BioShock franchise, I think, is very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, easily a 5 out of 5 bottles to me. Just an incredible game to play if you haven't before. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Very scary game.
No,
so you know.
not that scary.
The first time I remember playing it, I think I played for about 5 minutes and then threw the controller at Nick.
Threw the controller at me. We were in Matt's basement with the lights off, fighting a Big Daddy for the very first time back in 2000, whatever, back in the day. Chucked a controller right at my face. I didn't beat it for you.
Dude, that's That's probably when Alan coerced me into sacrificing that little girl. Remember
Oh,
that?
that's right.
Yeah,
you remember that?
The little sisters or whatever they're
I'm
called.
pretty sure Nick was like the voice of reason, being like, "No, dude, save her!
Like save them.
she's just a little
Yeah,
girl."
it's my payoff at the
And I
end
was
of the
like,
game.
No, harvest her! Get more from her! And then I
And
did.
it was
Stop being
Secure-
such a Matt, Alan.
it was literally like if you did it once in the entire game, it completely changes the ending of it too.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
the one time we did it, it would like completely like changes the course of the game.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, I think it was still worth it. I would
classic
do it
Slytherin.
Yeah. Call
I'm
back.
not gonna drop that.
What's Team Gryffindor have to say about games here?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think Bioshock is a great pick. I love that game. The game that I added that I've been really interested in, and I don't think has been. Maybe someone could fact check this. I don't think it's released yet, but it's coming out, and I mentioned it at the E3 episode we did. It's called We Happy Few.
Okay.
And I just really like. It's literally like the epitome of dystopia. Like everyone is like all drugged out and like crazy, like maniacally happy all the time and insane. And if you do anything, like anything wrong, the police will just like beat the crap out of you or kill you.
Wow.
And yeah. So I think that game is just going to be really, really interesting. It seems like a similar Bioshock feel, but it's like a new take, and it just looks like updated. Basically, I like that. I think it's going to be neat. So check out We Happy Few.
Nice.
It comes out on August 10th. So
What? Oh my gosh, guys! That's the second game that's going to be amazing. That's coming out like right when you guys come to visit.
yeah,
Is this fate or what? I don't know.
absolutely. What was the other one? Overcooked 2, right?
Overcooked 2,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Overcooked too.
Not a dystopian game, but still something awesome.
It's not even close.
Be on the lookout for some very drunk video game review podcasts.
Oh my gosh,
The midweeks of August.
we'll have to figure out how we can just stream that.
I know.
Oh,
it's- yeah.
Do a lot of one. That'd be cool.
Prime, yeah.
All right, Nick. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, Bioshock was really the one I wanted to talk about, and Alan picked it, which is awesome. So I think, the runner-up, I haven't been a huge fan. Well, I like these games. I haven't played a lot of them, but I respect the hell out of these, and that is the Fallout series of video games. They kind of touch on, what if we went to nuclear war, and, what's some of the Fallout roll credits, beyond that, and kind of what would happen. And they get a little science fiction-y by going into what would happen, with all the radiation and how it would change animals and stuff like that. But, I think it's a really good, really good series of survival games that deals with kind of the aftermath of, what happens when, we do go to nuclear war and now we have a complete dystopia where like it's a, post-apocalyptic wasteland of, beings that need to survive and everything. And those games are really good. I respect those games a lot. I think for some reason I'm more scared playing Fallout games, like crawling through an abandoned apartment building with some weird radiation creatures, than I am going through a Bioshock game. For some reason, I don't know.
I think Fallout is awesome.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a cool game. I remember the first time I fell in love with that game was when I was like in a sewers and I like dropped a mine on the ground and some dude started chasing after me and he like ran out the doorway,
Yes.
stepped on the mine, and his legs immediately blew off, and then his like legless body just collapsed on the ground. I was just
Yeah.
like, this is so awesome.
We'll have to keep an eye on the production and release of Fallout 76 so we can see if
That's
we can
right.
maybe play a little together, I guess.
That's right.
Wasn't there was a video recently for Fallout Miami too, wasn't there?
Yep, I think we're going to touch on that next episode of the show. We'll give our full review on the trailer for that. So a little preview there. Nice.
Nice. Cool.
Cool, guys. So any closing thoughts on Utopias Dystopias? I mean, we kind of just quickly touched. There's not really much in music on, illustrating a utopia and dystopia, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of any music-related stuff that kind of touches on this? Not really. I tried to
really.
do some research. I couldn't find much.
Yeah, there's like some politically charged songs and stuff, like
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, that kind of stuff. But
Sure. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
more
there's,
just
John Lennon's Imagine,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's all right. Yeah.
kind of a utopia-ish song.
But overall, I think utopias and dystopias are such a relevant idea in all entertainment and literature and stuff like that. And I think it probably always will be, because as society develops, there will be newer ideas. And now we have like Black Mirror, which is somewhat could be considered a dystopia of like all the technology and stuff that's going on. So
right.
I think as time goes on, there's just going to be more and more stuff. I think it's always going to be a really cool idea and always going to be relevant. So I love it. I think it's great.
And all in the meantime, humanity will continually try to get closer and closer to Utopia while we talk about utopias and dystopias. So interesting stuff. Yeah. All right. Good show, guys. So next week,
we'll talk about next week.
Next week, we are talking about animated TV shows. We're going to kind of do our best and worst. Haven't done one of those in a while. We're just going to kind of give the rundown of some of the best and worst animated TV shows from, our childhood to now, essentially. So we're going to talk about some of the Nickelodeon stuff, the Cartoon Network stuff, and everything in between. So be on the lookout for that. This has been an episode of The Torrent. We'll see you next time. Well, that's it for this episode of The Torrent. Thank you all for listening. Download, rate, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast service. If you want to get in contact with us, feel free to send us an email, thetorrentpodcast@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter @TheTorrentPod. We'll see you guys next time.